Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm just here to bring you my latest kits that are listed on Etsy. So there's 4 of them. I shall show you them obviously one at a time. So I shall move all of them out of the way and kind of focus one at a time. So the first kit, which actually at the moment is has been reserved. So this obviously is kind of to show the kit in a bit more detail. So the packaging that the kit's contained in is an altered paper bag. These are just some plain paper bags here, and basically what I've done is I have stitched kind of the bottom bit so as to kind of form a little pocket with the flap, and then it's got some scrapbook paper, and it's got some sheet music here, it's got some handmade paper and a little image here. This is one of the little printed images from my daughter's dress, which I kind of mentioned in my process video. I'm not sure what way round I'm going to be uploading my videos, so it could be that this is going up before that, in which case please just ignore what I'm saying completely. Anyway, so then I've got a couple of fabric ruffles here. These are just kind of navy blue fabric, and it's just kind of thickish cotton fabric. And basically I've just stapled those on because I've decided that that's kind of the best way to do it for these kits, really, because then all you have to do is obviously undo the staples and you can use them on your projects. This fabric is quite prone to fraying. I'm not sure whether kind of the kind of candle thing would work along here. I haven't actually tried that, but you could kind of give that a go if the fraying is bothering you. And then it's got attached with a bulb pin a pretty flower here in some striped fabric, which has been coffee dyed, and then it's layered up with lace, and it's got a little flower in the centre, a kind of satin rose, and then here it's got just a stamped image, a stamped word saying love on just some fabric, and they've been attached just here with a bulb pin. And then on the other side of the bag there is again another one of those cute images from my daughter's little dress, and that's just been stitched on the sewing machine onto this kind of muslin linen fabric, and actually that's actually forming a pocket here on the bag, so I could actually put something in there, but for some reason I obviously forgot that that was a pocket, so that's that. And then you've got some sewing pattern ruffle that's just been glued on down here, bit of scrapbook paper, bit of that handmade paper, bit of sheet music, and then one of these bows, and this is made with some hessian trim that Laura had gifted me, and I've just stitched some bows out of that on the sewing machine, and this one I've just popped a little bow in the middle, and that's got some navy blue thread, which kind of obviously picks up the blues from the outside of this kit. And then there's some little items contained here in an altered denim pocket. So this pocket, it's just got some pink ribbon trim, and then a couple of pink ribbon roses that I've just kind of made here just by ruffling up the ribbon and popping a little pink centre into those. So inside here you've just got a few items here. So you've got a couple of little bows there, which obviously, well, just to use on your little projects and pages and things of your journals. And they just obviously, once you glue them down, those bits don't kind of go apart there. So if you just kind of hold it with the little legs, if you like, and then you can just kind of glue it down on there, and that would just kind of glue on like that. So that's those two, and then you've got a little bit of kind of velvet kind of trim, and that's got a decoupage napkin image here, and a bit of lace and a bit of faux diamante trim on there. Then you've got a little butterfly which has been stamped onto some fabric, and it's just been stitched onto this hessian here, and that's been coffee dyed as well. And I have actually kind of put some PVA around the edge just to kind of try and stop that fraying quite so much. And then you've got one of those Tim Holtz rosettes with a little chipboard. Well, it's not actually chipboard, this is thickish cardstock which has been glossy accented just in the middle. That's those items. And obviously again, as kind of always, the packaging has been kind of designed in a way that you can kind of cut bits off, you know, cut elements off, or, you know, unpick elements so that you can obviously use all of the packaging in your projects as well. And then going inside the paper bag, whoops, check that I've got everything. So I'll show you those two last. So you've got these images here, and using this most gorgeous paper. I think this was from a Die Cuts with a View stack. Really pretty. It's kind of in these gorgeous corally colours with green, and it's got some gold as well. And then I've got a stamped image here and a little sparkly flower that I've just fussy cut out from the same paper pack, so it all coordinates beautifully. And then you've got a bit of lace trim and then a little flower that I've cut from some trim just stuck there. And that's then forming a little flip, which I've stuck some string on the back, kind of holding it closed, and that just opens like that. So again, that could just be glued onto the page, and actually could just be glued on 3 sides to kind of form a top loading pocket. So that's the first item. Then you've got a little folding kind of booklet, and this is just an altered piece of file folder, and then it's just got a layered up piece of the scrapbook paper with some glittery kind of item, and then a couple of stamped items there, the camera and the ticket, and a bit of lace trim down the bottom. And again, I mean, you could attach more coffee stained papers inside there, just either stitching down the spine or stapling them in. Then there's a little corner tuck spot, which I would just kind of glue down on a corner like that, and that's the gorgeous striped paper again with the glittered fussy cut flowers, and this gorgeous bird on the teacups, and a Martha Stewart butterfly, and a bit of diamante trim. And then here, this is one of those teeny envelopes, and I've used these a couple of times in journals, and it's just forming a little pocket here. So I haven't actually got a little tag small enough, but if you did, that would just kind of slot in like that. So I'll just do it this way around so you can see more easily. And it's just got obviously that nice glittered cardstock there, and a bit of lace trim and a bit more cardstock here. So that can just be kind of glued down onto a page. And then here you've just got a little folding kind of flip here. And again, this one tucks into the fussy cut flower, and it's just got a bit of lace trim and a bit of faux diamante there. And then you've got a top loading corner tuck spot, which again I would just kind of glue down like that and have it in the top corner, and it's got obviously various images kind of there glued onto that. And then here, your final 2 items for this first kit. You've got here an altered paper clip, so coordinating obviously with the papers, and that's holding this closed, which I love this how it's turned out. It's basically some fabric. Now this is not vintage fabric, but I've coffee dyed it, so I think it kind of looks pretty vintage now. And I've stitched that, I've fussy cut round the cake with the cake stand, and then I've stitched around it onto this, which was a cover of some sheet music. So this is actually vintage sheet music, so I mean it's quite delicate, and that's just forming a kind of flip there. So, and obviously with this you could kind of do as you wished with it. You could either kind of glue on photos, you could use it as just journaling as it is, you could glue on kind of extra coffee dyed paper kind of to make it a bit more kind of thick and robust, or you could obviously fold some coffee dyed paper and stitch them in along either one of these folds, or staple them in to form a kind of more, you know, pad with a few more pages. But I just love how that looks, and I love this kind of rough edge where obviously, you know, it's quite old, and yeah, just really like that. So that just holds closed with the paper clip. Hate trying to do things on film. And then the final item, again kind of coordinating with this, so it's the cake itself on the coffee dyed fabric, and I've just stitched around the edge rather than fussy cutting the cake out. So I've stitched that onto the edge. I've made a little fabric ruffle down the side, bit of pearl trim, and one of those little bows like the pink ones that I kind of showed you from the small items. And that's just been stitched. Obviously this was that paper, so quite flimsy, but I've stitched it onto some coffee dyed cardstock there around the edge, so that this can be used as a kind of page pocket. So you could kind of glue it down, you know, on 3 sides and use it as a kind of pocket, or obviously you could use it as a tag, you know, either or really. So that's kit number 1. I think it's quite fun and, you know, a bit different. So that's that one. I'll just move all of those elements out of the way to show you the next one. I have got 4 to get through, so time allowing, hopefully we'll kind of manage to do that. So the next kit is the one that, if you followed along with my process video from last week, I started making the elements for this one in that video. So this packaging is formed from this gorgeous bag. I purchased something from Etsy and I can't remember the name of the shop now. But if I remember, I will try and link it below when I do the upload of the video. And I ordered some doilies from there. And they came in this gorgeous, gorgeous paper bag. I just really think it's so lovely. I love gingham. You know, there's just something about kind of checks and things. So I just, yeah, really loved that bag and thought, oh, that's just perfect for a little kit. And actually, I just made this one. So I thought, wow, perfect for this. So let me show you kind of all the items. So basically, I took the bag and obviously I've glued a pink doily on there. I glued the flap here to form a pocket. I've just stuck some of these little chickens on the bottom that are also pink. And then I've also glued a fabric ruffle across the bottom there of the fold up, flap. And then onto there, I've made this cute little flower, which coordinates nicely with the kit, which you'll see in a moment. So it's got just layered up elements, it's got just some felt on the bottom and layered up elements there and a little fabric rose in the middle. Hopefully you can see that. That's just attached on with a bulb pin here. And then up here, I just literally put a little staple in, stapling this ruffle onto the bag. So this ruffle is in this gorgeous green floral fabric. So beautiful. So that's just stapled on and then attached with a bulb pin to the fabric. I've just got these couple of little fabric embellishments. So it's just some of that gorgeous red spotty fabric, you know, from my daughter's dress. And it's literally just had one of, or a little part of the ruffle just stitched onto that. So you've got 2 of those. And they just look super cute, kind of on the bottom of a page or on a tag, you know, something like that. So that's those. And then going over the page, or over the bag, there's an image from the Peter and Jane book. So I just thought that looked rather nice, kind of as a whole image. And then I've got here some fabric ruffle, which I've just glued that on. Again, thought it went quite nicely. And then again, one of those gorgeous Hessian bows, which I have just, again, I've stitched that. Did I stitch that? I can't remember now whether I've stitched this or glued this. I either glued it or stitched it. I can't actually remember, so I do apologise for that. And then I've stapled it onto the bag. So again, you can unpick the staples and use that in your projects. Or you could obviously cut this whole side away and you could glue this into a journal as a full page with the fabric ruffle already on there and the bow already on there. That would be, you know, working quite well, I think. So that's that. And then I have got this little, now this is a piece of Hessian, which as you can see, unfortunately has some book page stuck onto it. That book page got stuck on when I was actually painting it. Whoa! I've just knocked my camera completely over, so I apologise for that. Yeah, sorry. This was just plain coloured Hessian, regular coloured Hessian, and I have painted it, and obviously it was kind of then balanced onto a book page, and so that's how come that's stuck on there. I did try to pick it off, probably could be picked off, but it was quite a laborious kind of process, so I gave up in the end, and I thought, well, once it's stuck down you wouldn't actually notice that anyway. So that's that, and then what I've done is glued on a bit more of that red polka dot fabric, and just there a stamped image saying the word love, and I just think that looks lovely. So again, I think it would look really nice just glued down actually anywhere on a journal. Then I've got one of these cute little bags that I made from just this cellophane. So this was just some of that gorgeous cellophane, and I just stitched it on the sewing machine to make a little packet or bag, and then I've just glued a little flower on in the corner and a little button. So again, that could just be used in a journal kind of as is. You could kind of staple it onto a page, you could kind of glue it and put some lace over the glue so she didn't see it, or you could kind of paper clip it onto a page, or you know, you could cut the flower off, use just the flower, however really takes your fancy. And then I've just got 3 little chipboard tiles in here, one saying the word love, one saying the word happy, hopefully you can see that, and then this just like a fleur-de-lis type image, and they've just been glossy accented there. So that's those, and they were just attached onto the bag with a bulldog clip, a little tiny one. And then going inside the bag you have the items. So obviously I've got the items that we made together on the process video. So I have this one here, which, you know, if you watch the video then you may recognise this, where we layered up various things. I really liked these Peter and Jane images on the book page rather than kind of on scrapbook paper or anything. I thought they looked really good on the kind of book page paper. So this was from the Vintage Encyclopedia pages, and obviously the Peter and Jane was also a vintage book. So there's that one. Oops. Then I have this one, which I can't remember. I don't think we made this one together. I think this is the one that we made together with the sewing pattern ruffle down the side here and the flower. So this one is obviously very similar. It's another image from the book, but this time with a white doily, again the sewing pattern, and here a bit of flower, Martha Stewart butterfly, and a little postage stamp stamped image in the corner. So that's those two kind of to form little pockets, glued down kind of on 3 sides on your page. That's those. Then this here I've made into a kind of belly band. Again, it's just kind of file folder, and then what I've done is layered it up with some of the Vintage Encyclopedia page, and then I've put a little bit of this gorgeous striped paper down the middle, an image from the Peter and Jane book, bit of the ruffle at the top, little bow, and then this gorgeous spotty fabric I've just stitched on the sewing machine. So I thought that would work nicely as a belly band kind of on a page like that. Obviously you could trim that down if it was a little bit long for your pages. So that's that one. Then this one here, this is one of those smaller square kind of ones, so I would use it as a kind of tuck spot by gluing just a couple of sides. And basically it's just, again, an image from the Peter and Jane book layered up on the spotty fabric. It's got a flower layered up on some sewing pattern with a staple, bit of sewing pattern ruffle down the side here, and then just for kind of extra decoration really, I've just tied some of this blue and white baker's twine down on the edge. I thought that looked really nice. Now I haven't glued that, so obviously that could be taken off if you didn't want that there. Equally, it could easily be actually glued on. So I haven't glued it on. Let's just check that I'm not fibbing. Oh, perhaps I have glued it on here on the front. Sorry, I have glued it on the front. But yeah, I think that looks super cute. So that's that one. This was the tag that we made together kind of in the process video. So if you kind of watched along with that, you know obviously what went on and what's on the tag. And then the final item is this one here, which I made a policy envelope from the file folder. And then what I've done, layered up some obviously scrapbook paper, book page, and one of the images from the Peter and Jane, a little Martha Stewart butterfly. And then on the flap, I've just popped some of that sewing pattern ruffle. And then what I've done is tied a bow around here. So I've stuck the baker's twine on the back with some glue. And then to hold it shut, obviously tie a bow around here, and that will hold it shut. And then if you open it inside, is a little fold out flip. So again, layered up very similarly to what's on the front, just a different image obviously from the Peter and Jane book, and it's got a bit of doily there as well. And that just, whoops, folds out like that. So again, you could kind of do whatever you wanted on this. You could add some more paper, you could add some sheets of paper kind of stapled in or stitched in to form a kind of pad. Or you could stitch it together, or, you know, stick it together for a more robust kind of tag. Or obviously it doesn't have to go in here at all, and you could use it on another page as a kind of opening flip on its own, and then you could just use this little policy envelope for something completely different. I just kind of popped it in there, but I mean, actually it doesn't have to stay in there, and obviously it would make the kit go further if you were actually to use that, you know, on its own, on a page on its own. So yeah, that would kind of be another way to use it. So that just ties round, and yeah, I think that looks pretty cute. So that's kit number 2. Moving that out the way. So kit number 3, actually I'm going to show you this one next because I feel quite excited by this. Again, I'm not sure what anyone else will think really. I feel excited kind of in the way that I felt excited with the Big Cats kit, because this one again is taken using that children's encyclopedia book, and this one is dogs, which I found very exciting to do this. I thought it was something really different, and I think it still looks really super vintage, so I hope that you really like it. So basically the packaging is, again, it's just a paper bag, and I have just glued up the flap here to form a pocket, and it's layered up, got some different bits and bobs layered up, some sheet music. And then rather than show you the items that are in here just yet, I'm just going to kind of show you a couple of the things on the packaging, which I think are really cute. So again, I talked about this in one of my other videos, and I'm kind of losing track because I seem to have done so many today. But this was some old skirt of mine, which I just thought was kind of such nice fabric. I kind of didn't really want to part with it. But you know, once I was finished with it, kind of, yeah, wanted to kind of use some of the cute images. So around the bottom it had all these cute dog kind of images. So I have obviously, you know, cut out this one, I've stitched it onto this handmade paper and layered it up here. Then the skirt itself had a bow on the waistband, so I've just kind of literally cut that bow off and glued it on here by the handle. Made a fabric ruffle here, which I have then stapled on to the bag itself. So obviously you could unpick the staples to use that in your projects. Again, I'm just going to point out flaws. So this, again, my tension obviously wasn't correctly set on my sewing machine. So at the back, it is quite kind of, I don't know what you'd call that, what happens when your tension's not quite correct on the sewing machine, but that's happened on the back. But obviously once you stuck that down on a page, you know, it wouldn't matter at all. I quite like that side up. I think I said this in the other video. Obviously the correct side of the fabric was this, but actually weirdly I quite like the kind of more washed out kind of underside. So, you know, again, it would be up to you how you used it. If you were planning on putting some sort of trim in the middle of the ruffle, this kind of tension thing wouldn't really show anyway. So that's that. And then attached here with a bulb pin is a little lacy flower layered up with some more of that gorgeous mustard colour kind of fabric and more lace and a little pearl centre. And that's just backed on this time to a little round of kind of card. And then down here, super cute, there's a little dog. I think he looks like he's got glasses on. I think it's supposed to be like patches on his eyes, but he kind of looks to me a bit like he's wearing, you know, like Biggles in the plane. He looks like that. So I found that really sweet. And I've just literally stitched him around a couple of times onto this sewing pattern paper and onto this hessian, and then I've stitched on a little button. So again, all of these elements, you know, they're intended to be able to be kind of cut off or torn off, you know, to be able to use on your projects. So you could obviously cut him off and use him on your journals and what have you. And then on the other side of the bag, again, exactly the same. I've got another ruffle here, which again, I seem to be still having trouble with my tension. So that's that. And again, it's just been stapled on. Another fabric flower. This time I've got a bit of the kind of netting from the underside of the skirts. and a bit of the mustardy fabric and layered up with some lace, and then in the centre I've just kind of made a centre from some flower trim. And then here another image from that gorgeous row at the bottom of the skirt, and it's just stitched around onto this kind of linen-y fabric and glued on. And then I've just got some sewing pattern paper ruffle here just glued onto the page, and then a little satin rosebud there, and then another one of those gorgeous Hessian bows here, and then I've stitched in the middle some of this linen-y fabric kind of going across the middle, and so that's been stitched on the sewing machine. So again, obviously you could cut this all out, you know, you could just kind of cut it out including the ruffle and put it onto your journal page as is. I mean, obviously it doesn't have the ruffle at the top, but you could obviously glue that on and have it like that on a journal page, or however, you know, takes your fancy. So going on to the items, obviously, of the kit itself, it is a dog theme, which obviously coordinates nicely with the dog theme of the skirt. So I have married the dog images with this gorgeous teal paper, which I just think look really, really, really nice. So there's a couple of little fabric items here. They're just some kind of velvety fabric with some of that crochet lace, and that's just been glued on, and some little flowers there, and they've been stitched on. Then you've got another one here with again some of the crochet lace, another one of those flowers, and this time I've just stitched a button on as well. So that's those two. I should put those back in there. So the first item is this one here. It's the teal scrapbook paper. It's been stitched around on the sewing machine and glued onto this buff coloured file folder. It's got some calendar there, a little bit of kind of stamped image there, a bit of lace and a bit of diamante trim, and one of those little images of the dogs from the vintage encyclopedia, and I've just kind of fussy torn him out and stuck him on. So that's that one. I would use that as a kind of pocket probably on a page like that, or obviously you could use that as a tag. So that's that one. Then I have got a corner tuck spot, and this one again, it's the buff coloured card, and I've just put a little bit of the teal scrapbook paper here kind of on the edge, so it's just poking out. I thought that looked rather nice. I didn't put the teal right over the card because actually it's quite thick now, so if I'd layered it up with the scrapbook paper as well, I think it would have become, you know, really, really thick, because it's got layered up encyclopedia page paper. Then it also has obviously the dog itself, who also has been fussy torn out. And then I've got this acetate frame, which is behind the dog, and that's all been glued on. And that's acting as a little tuck spot for a little vintage ticket, which has just been stamped onto this coffee dyed paper. That just goes in there. And then you've got a bit of lace trim going there. So again, obviously just glue that down and kind of glue it onto a page as a top loading tuck spot. Then here I've got again some of these layered up book pages that I have stitched around, and then I've popped on. This was actually a portion that my camera stopped again, so excuse me if I'm just repeating myself. So this was an actual part of a vintage letter, some of the ephemera that I purchased recently. I've just literally copied it and coffee stained it, and then I've torn a little section off and stuck it on here. And then I've layered up an image of I think this is a King Charles Spaniel, beautiful dog there. Layered it up onto some coffee dyed paper, and then some of the teal coffee dyed scrapbook paper, and then a flower there. Diamante trim across, lace trim across the top, and a bit of faux diamante there. So again, ideal for just kind of gluing down as either a tuck or a kind of pocket, however you want to use it really. So that's that one. And then this one, rather like this is it's got some string here glued on, and then I've just kind of reinforced it with a bit of book page there. And then you undo the tie. As you know, I love tying things. Oops, and I have now managed to glue the tie onto there. Right, undo the tie, and the doggy just flips back. So he's just on some buff coloured card, and then under here you've got secret journaling space here and here. He's just been layered onto some vintage sheet music, bit of lace trim at the edge, and then a bit of stamped image down here, kind of where he's folding. So, and he just obviously ties up. So I thought he looks really good. And then you can obviously glue him down as a little pocket like that. This one, absolutely loved how this turned out. It's obviously a stack of the papers, again, stitched round on the sewing machine. And then what I did was, obviously I've just torn the teal coloured paper either side, glued them on either side just at the corners. So this is actually a little pocket either side. So I don't know whether I've got anything kind of thin enough to actually use. Yes, I have, so I'll show you that in a second. So obviously you could kind of put tickets or whatnot in here, tucking in either side, and then you'd have a hidden doggy there. So I will show you that in a second. It's got a bit more of the portion of that vintage letter and a bit more of the crochet lace trim at the top, and a butterfly and a bit of a journaling spot down there. Yeah, I just really like that one. So that's that. I'm going to put it to one side to remind me to get something in a moment. And then this one here, just layered up a dog image onto some sewing pattern paper, a couple of stamped images here, a stamped image of a butterfly, a bit of the crochet trim and a bit of faux diamante there. I think that looks really nice. And again, you could just glue that down and it would be a kind of top loading pocket, or obviously you could glue it down kind of there and have a bottom loading pocket, you know, kind of however. Or if you wanted it as a tag, you could kind of obviously glue the whole lot onto some coffee dyed cardstock or paper. You know, however kind of you want to use these kits, you know, they're kind of, obviously the choice is yours. So this item here is the final item in this particular kit, and basically it's one of those wage envelopes. So I've created obviously a little, you know, pockets from it, or a little envelope, which is obviously what it was. So I've just stamped in the corners, then I've layered up some doily and some of the scrapbook paper, some vintage encyclopedia page, and one of these gorgeous dog images, and a butterfly here. And then going inside, what I've done is I've made an altered paperclip here with one of the really cute images of a dog, and it's got a vintage postcard, stamped image, and a bit of the lace trim going across the top of the paperclip. And the paperclip is holding the remaining images from the encyclopedia of the dogs. So there's just literally 1, 2, 3, 4 little images left. That's on that side. They do also have images on the other side, but they're very tiny. I mean, look at this cute sausage dog. So they're more kind of this size images. So, I mean, obviously they'd be up to you kind of how you use them. I mean, look, he's so cute. So that's kind of up to you how you use them. But I just wanted to enclose them because I just thought, you know, I obviously can't do a lot with these 4 images of dogs. But the kit had kind of gone as far as I could really go with it, you know, because obviously they take quite a long time to make, so you have to kind of stop at some point. So I just thought I would enclose them in with the kit. But to just kind of demonstrate really what you could do here. So if this was kind of a plain piece of paper or anything else, you know, you could tuck it in here, whoops, and up there. So then basically you're hiding the doggy that's underneath, and then when you take that out, obviously he's peering through underneath. So I really liked how that kind of turned out. So that's that, and they're all just clipped in, or clipped on to the altered paper clip here. So I think that's a super cute kit, and I was really, really chuffed with how it turned out because, you know, a bit like I said with the Big Cats kit, although, you know, kind of not the most obvious subject for a vintage journal, I actually think that the kit turned out very vintage looking, and yeah, I really, really like it. So I hope that, you know, everyone else likes it. So that's that one. So I'm moving that out the way. Final kit. So this is the final one that's listed on my Etsy shop. This is a file folder that I've made a little kind of packet. So it's held closed with this just coffee dyed ribbon trim. And on this side there is this gorgeous printed image. It does say here be my Valentine or greet my Valentine, but obviously that could be covered up. And she's just layered up on some, I think it was envelope and some book page, a couple of tickets here and postage marks, and a coffee dyed mulberry flower. Then this big yo-yo flower here with a stick pin, layered up with a little kind of fabric rose in the middle. And she's got a little pocket going in the side, so we'll come to that in a second. Going over, obviously you've got a pocket here with just some printed kind of tickets and ephemera kind of stuff. Bit of lace trim going across here and here on the flap, and obviously a pocket in here. So that's kind of the packaging for this one, which obviously again intended to be able to take that apart. And then coordinating with it, you have also got this smaller kind of packet. So this one has got this gorgeous girl from decoupage napkin onto the sheet music. She's been layered onto some book page, onto some more sheet music, and then onto the little packet itself. And that's held closed with a piece of fabric ruffle, which it's just been pinned together with the bulb pin here. So obviously that, you know, when you unpin it, is a length of fabric ruffle. And then attached to that also was a fabric flower, so layered up lace and what have you. I've got threads and things stuck on there. Lace and what have you onto the felt, and it's got a little kind of button centre, and then it has a stick pin here. So, and that was just attached with a little miniature bulldog clip. And then going into the packet, so this is your small items first. There are some Hessian here with some sheet music and some sewing pattern paper and a butterfly. I'm losing my words, I'm kind of videoed out today. I think I've done too much talking now. Yeah, a decoupaged butterfly onto music sheet, and that's been stitched in the middle with a little button and onto the back of the Hessian. So that's the first little item. And then you've got a Hessian piece here with some lace and some buttons. I've included those before in my kits. They're quite nice, kind of just at the bottom of a page. Then you've got a Tim Holtz rosette, and in the centre it's just got this gold chipboard with a crown stamped image. And then you've got this teeny weeny butterfly tile. So this is just a little wooden tile, and it's just got some scrapbook paper with this gorgeous butterfly image on it, and it's, well, just been distress inked up and some glossy accents on there. So that's that one. And then you've got a little bow here that I've just kind of made by stitching it through. So that's that. That's your small items. Then going on to the actual larger items, tucked in here in the side pocket, you've got here some sheet music that I've kind of doubled over and stitched it round on the sewing machine, and then I've layered up some decoupage napkin image here, and also these roses, which were actually taken from a book, and just kind of decoupage, fussy cut them out and decoupage them on. And then you've got some lace trim down the side. So that's that item. And then here you've got a little fold out kind of booklet or flip. And this is just from some file folder, and then it's got some layered up images here from some scrapbook paper torn at the side and popped some book page behind it. And this was an image from a vintage book that I took, copied, and then I've popped it onto card, so it's got a bit more kind of impact and a bit thicker kind of standing out from the page, and distress inked that all up, and then a journaling spot in the middle. And then here, this is just a vintage kind of perfume stamped label kind of image, and that's on there, and that just obviously ties shut with the string. So again, you can kind of do what you like with these. You could kind of add more pages by stapling them in or stitching them in, or leave as is really. And then going inside the kit, we have got here tiny tag, which this was some altered shop packaging, so it's actually quite kind of chunky-ish, thickish, kind of almost chipboard, and I've just altered that by kind of stamping some bits and bobs on there, distress inking it up, and then popping some bits of scrapbook paper on there, a bit of lace, and then on this side again I've popped the word treasured, done some stamping, and then a little butterfly on there, and that's just got a bulb pin going through the top. And then here you've got again a couple of layered up bits of sheet music which I have stitched around on the sewing machine, and layered up here this gorgeous bird image from the vintage bird books that I've used a few times, and onto some scrapbook paper. And then I have popped some lace trim along the bottom, and then this gorgeous inked up flower, paper flower with a little sort of gem centre. So great for kind of sticking down as a little pocket on a page. And then here you've got a little fold out flip. So this is just some scrapbook paper that's been coffee dyed, and obviously folds down, and then it tucks into this large journaling spot there. So again, you could obviously just glue that down on 3 sides to make a kind of top loading pocket, and then you obviously open it out and you've got journaling space in there. You could obviously have journaling pages, you know, more papers if you wanted to on that. So that's that one. And then here you've got kind of matching this here, there is layered up with some of that coffee filter paper and some vintage book page, and then this chap from the encyclopedia book, and then a typewriter here, stamped image, and a little stamp up there, and some lace trim across the top, and a bit of faux de monte there, and that's all just been stuck onto this gorgeous scrapbook paper that I would use this kind of as a little belly band somewhere, you know, stuck onto a page kind of either end, and then you could obviously use it as a little kind of belly band like that. And then the final item on this one is a sewing pattern booklet. So this one has been obviously stitched on the sewing machine, and then I've just glued down 3 sheets of coffee dyed paper on there, and then a further one on here, and a further one on the back. So you've actually got kind of 5 sides for journaling here. And then on the front I've layered up some coffee dyed paper with some sheet music and a bit of printable, and here a little cute flower on the front, and obviously there's a bird there to go with the kind of naturey type bird theme that's going on here. So that's your items for that kit. So yeah, that's kind of all 4 kits now gone through. So it's been a long day, and my throat is definitely kind of going dry now. So hope that you liked them. If you did, can you give a thumbs up, please? That would be really great. Thank you. Yeah, any comments, obviously always really appreciate them. And yeah, hope that you liked the kits. They're obviously all for sale in my Etsy shop. I think that's everything. My mind's kind of gone into a fuzz now from doing too many videos, but yes, anyway. Thank you very much for watching, and till next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.